Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Lifestyle Lifter Show. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Amelia Annie Layng. Amelia is a former professional dancer. She is a lover of almond croissants and she's an online health and fitness coach based just outside of Brighton in England, but she coaches clients worldwide. Amelia, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Oh, what a lovely introduction. Thank you so much.
Almond croissants, I'll tell you, they looked really, really tasty, the ones you post on your IG stories, but I hope not to disappoint you. I've yet to try them, but it definitely is on my list.
Oh my gosh, incredible. It would change your life,
The,
honestly. Change mine.
the
But
perfect,
no.
the perfect post-workout treat. Amelia, before we get you started and just learn a bit more about you and your backstory, share something about yourself that most of your audience or followers in IG do not know.
Oh, um, I'm a pretty open book on my IG. But oh, that's a hard one. I'll have a think and maybe get back to you.
We'll answer that towards the end. But Amelia, I'd love to learn more about your backstory. You're a former professional dancer, obviously turned full-time online fitness coach. Just share a bit about how you actually got doing and got into what you currently do.
Yeah, so I left home when I was 16 and went to a dance musical theatre college towards London way. And yeah, I loved dancing and exercise. I've always been an active kind of child, and then went off and did dancing, did my 3 years at college or university, whatever you want to call it, and then graduated and started working within the dance industry. So I did a couple of jobs like tours and things like that. And then my bigger kind of jobs were I did Thriller Live. So I did the
Wow.
international tour of that one, which was incredible. Like we went to like some crazy places like Germany, Poland, Amsterdam, Dubai, Kuwait. So it was a good way to see the world. And then I then moved into West End in London with that show. And then COVID hit. And
Okay.
then I moved in, I transitioned into fitness.
Yeah.
But yeah, prior to that, I did get my PT qualification in between two jobs, just as like a backup in case anything did happen, which thank God I did. But yeah, so I then moved into fitness. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. And had COVID not happened 3 years, I think 3 years to the date, actually, the 10th of March it was 2020 when schools closed here in Ireland. Do you think you'd still be down the professional dancing route or doing obviously being a fitness coach instead?
You know what? I actually think I would have drifted into being into fitness anyway. As I was coming towards the end of my West End contract, was going to end in like April, May time. I was thinking about
Sure.
going and doing like some more fitness based classes and things like that, just because my dream was always to do tour and West End, and I did both of those. So I kind of like achieved that goal, and I'm quite a driven person. So I'm like, what's next? What's next? So because I had the qualification, I was sort of ready to move on to something different anyway. So I think I would have found it anyway. It might have just taken a little bit more time, but COVID definitely pushed me a little bit quicker into
Push
that.
you to speed things up. I the exact same. So I was a former primary school teacher, and
Okay.
I would have been teaching, we'll say March 2020 until the schools closed down. But then we had to transition to just online teaching with our students. But I had a lot of extra free time, which I wasn't used to having before because I used to like teach during the day, get my own workout in, coach my clients in the evening. And by the time you're actually sitting down and winding down, it's like 10 o'clock, you're in bed and you're up in the morning just doing the same thing. Got a bit stressed out, but obviously with schools, then it's like from being so like just short in time to having more time that I knew what to do it. I did like a kind of an online coaching course, even though I had my PT qualification. And as like you, it just kind of it was a blessing for some, and I think I definitely fell into that bracket as well. So we can
Yeah.
definitely align with that, Amelia. So tell us about like what kind of clients, who's the clientele that you primarily coach, Amelia?
So I predominantly coach women who busier working women who are struggling to find the time to exercise, who are looking to lose weight, tone up, and who have tried every diet under the sun, whether that's low calorie, keto, even the new one of the weighted hula hoop. I help them push past that and find a life of food freedom, balance, and be able to maintain their weight off and not have to go through the cycle of kind of regaining that again, and going on another diet. So yeah, that's the kind of they're my clients that I work with. But yeah.
And we'll just say with obviously with diets, there's the big emphasis on nutrition, what you do, Amelia. What would you say are like just some of the most common mistakes that you see people make when they initially start working with you?
I think it's the number one thing is cutting out the foods that they absolutely love. And I think yes, there is a massive ton of restriction that have come from cutting out sugars or alcohol and diving in kind of cold turkey, but you're kind of just setting yourself up to fail, because you're just going to crave them more, you're going to end up wanting them more, and then you'll just end up binging on them. So that's kind of the number one thing. And I think second to that is diving too far in the deep end anyway, and trying to do 10,000 steps and 5 workouts and hit your calorie deficit and do this, do that, and it's all too overwhelming for, especially for the women that I work with. Like if you're busy and you're trying to do all of that on top, it's just far too overwhelming. And it is like running, if you were to run a marathon, like, and you'd never trained for it before, you wouldn't go out on your first session, run a full-blown marathon and then completely just die. You train for it. So yeah, they're probably the two things that I see where people kind of go wrong with them with dieting.
100%. Yeah, that kind of idea that you got to be 10 out of 10 perfect, and then you have the cookie, you have the donut, you have the slice of cake, and you press the effort button and say, I've already had this, I may as well keep going and just kind of continue eating. I think we can definitely align in that as well, Amelia. But tell me then, what's your own kind of overall nutritional philosophy? What's your like method of kind of coaching your clients? Do you do meal plans? Do you prescribe certain diets, or is it more so like lifestyle / sustainability?
Yeah, so I mean, for my type of clients, when it comes to meal plans, I don't highly agree with them. Obviously, if it's going for like a bodybuilding show or anything like that, or you're an athlete, I totally understand. But how I work with my clients is, and I don't know about you, is I actually educate them around calories, around foods, around protein, and how to actually go out and socialize without hitting the script button, and kind of an education around food and calories. Just because I feel like that's something that's missing from a lot of solutions. Most people would do a diet club or a diet, and they'll do it for a couple of weeks, but then they'll finish it and then they'll just go back to all their old ways and old habits and then regain that weight. Whereas when you actually have an education around something, you're able to then like maintain it for the rest of your life. I don't know if you find that with your clients.
Yeah, for sure. It's getting out, first of all, of that end game mentality that there's an end to this. Like, you're going to be eating food for the rest of your life, and if you can genuinely feel that diet, that keto diet where it's carb free for the rest of your life, is something you can actually implement, well, absolutely go for it. But on the flip side, if it's just going to be a short-term thing, provided you have a backup plan, that can be optimal for some. But for the majority of our clients, I feel it's like, okay, what are the fundamentals here? Protein at every single meal, maybe 80% of our calories from more whole foods. Just your fiber intake, your veggies, just these kind of things that you're preaching there. I feel it's just much more kind of sustainable and something they can actually implement long term. But we'll say when it comes to your clients, like eating out at restaurants, I had Jack Gad on the podcast recently, and he was telling me, I think the calories now are mentioned on some of the UK menu. Is that right?
Yeah. I don't
What's
know.
your thought on that?
Do you have
We
that over
don't have
there?
it here in
No.
Ireland. No, we don't have it here in Ireland.
You know what? It's actually been quite beneficial for, I know a lot of my clients love that, because it just feels like it takes a little bit of pressure off. And I think as well, it's nice to see, for them to see as well, that salad and that burger, sometimes that burger is actually lowering calories than that salad. And it's like, you can go out and enjoy the food that you actually want. Like, did you want the salad? No, and it's in higher calories, so you can actually go for the burger. So I think in some terms it is very, very useful. Obviously, I do understand that there are some people out there that struggle with eating disorders and things like that, and that can be kind of a trigger for those, which maybe an option would be to have like an option whether you choose to have the calorie menu or not. But I think for my clients it is quite handy and quite useful. Yeah, just allows you to see that, and I think it allows again that education of understanding of portion control and being like, oh my god, has that got that amount of calories in? Wow.
And
Like,
what are some of those meals where people are saying that, Amelia?
I mean, I think it's just things like, even if you go to like Five Guys or something, like just the fries itself are like 1,000 calories, and it's like, oh my
Wow.
god. Like,
Yeah.
it's just the little things like that that you realize, oh my god, wow. Um, so yeah, I think that's what's quite useful. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know if they're going to implement it over there. I don't know.
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think it would be an eye opener for many. Like you go to your Starbucks on a Saturday morning and you get a Frappuccino and you get like you get, we'll say, like some kind of a donut or something, and you're still hungry after it, but little did you know that you've eaten and or drank, as you were saying, nearly 1,000 calories. But here's the thing also I do know with the restaurant menus, it's that like look, there's like a 20% allowance over or under of those calories. So that 1,000 calorie meal could potentially be 1,200. And who's to say that the chef or the cook actually putting together the meal, one person's portion could be bigger than others. So it's always even open to
Yeah.
being potentially bigger or smaller. But I think it's just good in general to have that education. What advice would you offer to someone, Amelia, who might have some form of anxiety about eating out, or on the flip side, just someone who, look, I'm seeing really consistent progress, and I do want to eat out, but I don't want to absolutely mess up everything I've been doing so far. What are some tips you feel for that guy or that girl would be helpful for them?
Um, I think with that being said, I think it's kind of taking away the pressure of like the panic first of all. Like, it's just a meal out, and I think a lot of I don't know if you find this with some of your clients, but some will be like, oh, I'm going out for a meal out this week and I'm going to completely ruin my progress. And I think you have to think, there's 7 days of the week, and you have, say you have 3 meals a day. That's a lot of meals. I'm not very good at maths, but that's a lot of meals throughout the week. I think, is that 21?
3 times 7, 21.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
so it's 21.
Fourth class maths there. I'm only joking.
Oh yeah, you were a teacher, so oh my
Yeah.
god. So so yeah, that's 21 meals, and if you're having one meal out, that's still 20 meals that you can eat that have got high in protein, that are filled with lots of veggies. So kind of taking that pressure away to understand that even if you had 2 meals out, then that's still, you've still got all of those rest of those meals. And I think it's taking that kind of pressure away, and when you do go out, it's just being that little bit more mindful. So
Brilliant.
opting for maybe a meal that is higher in protein, whether that's chicken, steak, fish, filling up with veggies on that, and then something that might help is getting your sauce on the side, or opting for more of a tomato-based sauce rather than a creamier sauce. And I think it's just making those choices that are just a little bit more aligned with your goals, so you can go out and enjoy, but also not kind of hit the screw it button and have a 3-course meal and cocktails and whatnot.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, and often often even just the culture over here in Ireland, it's not even like the more so the night out, but it's not necessarily the night out where people do more of the damage. It's the following day. It's getting up, it's having a fry, a full English or a full Irish fry there. It is grabbing a takeaway later on with just, with your chips and with all your fried foods there. It's having the comfort foods and the multiple bars of chocolate where people do quote unquote more damage. But as you were saying, like even just some small swaps. I love the way you said there about asking for the dressing on the side. Um, adding more protein. Ask for an extra source of protein. Ask for an extra serving of veggies there. all of these things. And once people kind of understand that in order for your social life to win, your fat loss doesn't necessarily have to lose. So I think that's like it's just a good way of looking at things. And because you mentioned, Amelia, you work with a lot of just busy working women and busy working professionals. Something I'm not sure if you get this with your members, but maybe often will kind of they might say that I don't have all this time, would say, to cook food in the evening, or I want to eat healthy, quote unquote healthy, but I'm a bit caught for time in the kitchen. Do you have any like kind of time management tips for anyone who falls into that bracket?
Um, yeah, so I think how I help my clients kind of navigate that, because all of them are busy working women. So some of them are night shifts, 12-hour shifts, and things like that. And my number one tip as a coach, and something that I've learned through and through, is literally just planning ahead. So taking out like 30 minutes on a Sunday for yourself to sit down and not write a meal plan, but kind of write out the meals that the shopping list, from the shopping list to then getting the meals that you're going to cook, and knowing where you're getting your protein in from, and just writing those meals out, so you're kind of setting yourself up, so you're going in with a plan. Whereas sometimes I see a lot of women, they're going in to their week thinking, oh well, I'm really busy, so let's just see what happens. But seeing what happens could be driving through McDonald's drive-through, because we didn't plan ahead. And I think it's just having a plan, because then even if something does pop up, or you have to stay an extra hour at work, at least you've got that plan in place, and kind of can move around that, because you've got a plan, rather than thinking, well, I've not got a plan, so I might as well do whatever I want, if that makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah. Just kind of planning that week out ahead, as you were saying. And often and I know myself, I'm a freaking demon. I can turn into an absolute demon when I'm hungry, and you just want something, and it's gonna take 15 minutes, and I'll be snacking on the side and be putting left, right, and center. Just having something prepared there, it just saves you a lot of time. It saves you a lot of stress. I'm curious, Amelia, what way do you work your own nutrition? Do you batch your meals? Do you cook as you go? Or do you do like a combination of both?
I mean, to be honest, I'm obviously very lucky now, because I now work from home. So I kind of just, and I'm quite good at eyeballing what I eat now. So
Yeah,
I'm very lucky the fact that I can go down and cook from the kitchen. But previous to this, I was a PT in a gym, and I was teaching fitness classes, and I was up at 4:30 in the morning, and I wasn't getting home till
sure.
9 p.m. at night. So I totally understand the
You can
struggles that
relate.
people go through. And with that, when I was doing that, I was prepping my overnight oats for breakfast, and I had my sandwich for lunch, and then I had something prepped and ready for dinner. And even on the busier days that were a little bit longer, and knew I was getting in even later, those days I would have like one of those low calorie pizzas from Lidl or from Aldi or from Sainsbury's in the freezer ready, because that fitted within like not kind of hitting the screw it button on
Sure.
that front.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so right now I'm obviously very lucky that I do, but I have experienced that kind of busyness
Yeah.
of that.
For sure. I was the exact same. Overnight oats in the morning, I used to bring with me to school. And by the time I got home from PT in the evening, at like 9 o'clock, I wouldn't do it now. I'll tell you, I used to have like a meal an hour before bed, and it was a stir fry, but I just needed something to get into me, because you'd be starving otherwise, as you were saying, and just preparing in advance. I think that's a big takeaway for anyone, that just identify those times in the day or times in the week when you probably don't have the time, you probably don't have the discipline to actually cook, and just having something prepared in advance there for those days. Even with Aldi now, Amelia, or Lidl, they even have some ready-made meals there which are quite calorie friendly, 300-400 calories, 30-40 grams of protein. That look, if it is a case that you got to use those, it's absolutely better than just going through a drive-through or McDonald's and as you said, pressing the screw button.
Mhm.
Um, just Amelia, then in terms of what are your thoughts, sorry, on calorie counting? Do you use MyFitnessPal yourself? Do you recommend it to your clients?
Yeah, so I mean that's how I kind of first that was the
Yeah,
first thing that helped me when I was trying to lose a bit of body fat myself. And it was well, I had a coach and she helped me work out how to track and things like that. So I did use MyFitnessPal for a while, because it just allows you to see like portion control, and allows you to see that peanut butter hasn't actually got that much protein in, and just things like that, because there's so many factors put out there of like, this is healthier than this and this is better than this. But I think when you sit down and you do it yourself and you realize, oh, I can include that favorite food into my day-to-day life, it helps. So that's how I navigate things with my clients. However, I don't do it anymore, because it was a tool for what I needed back then. Of course, if I was going in a surplus, or if I was going to go in another cut, then I may get it out again and use it. But yeah, what about you? Do you
Yeah, it's like that. It's like, I highly recommend your clients to do it for even just 30 days. And it is an absolute eye opener, as you're saying, that, okay, like for me, even just some foods that surprise me, like the likes of pesto or hummus, like, because I don't eat those that often, but just like looking at the calories on those, it's like, God, you wouldn't want to be pouring on the tablespoons with those, or peanut butter. I used to eat that from the jar. And then you'd realize that, okay, like 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, a heap, like, and you got to remember, a tablespoon is context dependent. Everyone's table, but if you were like to do a heap tablespoon of peanut butter, that could have like 200 to 300 calories, all dependent. So what I always recommend our clients do, Amelia, as well, is at least just start out with the MyFitnessPal. And if you get to a point where you're at nutritional mastery, where you can kind of eyeball it, and if you're eating the same or similar foods every single week, just with the way we navigate our check-ins, I ask them to do it once in the weekday. So maybe Monday at the start of the week, and then just once in the weekend as well. Because people often then can kind of fall into the bracket of having a good, real, consistent routine Monday through Friday, where they're eating the same or similar foods. But then the weekends, it's like, I'm working out consistently, I'm eating quote unquote healthy, but I'm not seeing any changes. And you look at the nutrition at the weekend, and that's where things can actually be out of balance. So that's kind of my approach. But I always recommend the clients to start out, because as you said, above all else, it's just education. It's giving you education on, the number of calories, the amount of protein, etc., in each of these individual foods.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that education is just such a big factor of it, because I don't know what you were like at school, but I know when I went to school and I did GCSE food technology, but like I look back at that and I did not learn one thing about calories or protein. I just learned how to cook a cake. Like what good did that do me? Like looking back, I think, oh my God. And I think that education is so important in many realms of life, even with like taxes and mortgages. I feel like that should be pushed more into
Oh,
like school and
you're
things like that.
preaching.
But
But
that's
it's
probably a
like
whole nother
Anton.
topic.
Oh, I was about to say that is a whole other topic, because even for me, when I was in school, obviously I'd have a bias towards sport. So I would try to, like, in some schools, I don't agree with it. If the children are misbehaving, what's the first thing that's taken away from them? Their PE time. It's like, it's not only does it have the physical benefits, but also just mentally for them as well, just to get out, to move a bit. Like us all, if you're stuck indoors all day, your concentration levels do go down. Didn't learn anything a lot about nutrition when I was in secondary school. I used to eat penny sweets in the morning, get like a roll or something at lunchtime. It was awful. And I didn't have that education until I just essentially self-taught myself, started reading some books, started learning a bit more about it. So I think if you can shorten your learning curve, it's so, so simple now. Like literally just take out even MyFitnessPal, start logging your foods for a full week, and that will give you a good idea where your proteins are at, where your calories are at. And just kind of, as you said, maybe pivot away from that once you have that education built up.
No,
Amelia, you're
100%.
someone, you're obviously outside of the professional dancing, you've also just a real love, I know, for the gym and for training there. You post some really impressive, even just workouts on your IG there. What kind of what's your preferred side of training that you like to adhere to?
Um, so I love weight training. I suppose you could call it bodybuilding, but I'm not the type that does the competitions or anything like that. And I do dabble into a bit of like CrossFit and a bit of running here and there.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, I absolutely love, just give me a barbell and I'm happy, and chuck some weights on it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on hybrid training?
I mean, to be fair, I would probably say that I'd probably shift a bit more towards hybrid
I
traiing.
would say so as
Um,
well, just
yeah,
from observation. Yeah, because you're doing a
yeah.
half marathon this weekend, am I right?
I know. Oh my God. No, I am. I am. Running's definitely one of them things that I always told myself I couldn't do. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna break down that barrier and I am gonna start running. And then I have, and
Brilliant.
I even after the half marathon, I'm definitely gonna keep it within my training, maybe stick at 10Ks.
Yeah, I'm curious how you're training. How has it looked for preparing for the half so far? What was your kind of running split there?
I mean, it's not been the best. I've been trying to do 2 runs a week, so a slower run and then a slower recovery run and then a longer run. I have dabbled some intervals, but not that much. Yeah, and then the furthest I've done in my runs, a couple of weeks ago was an 18.5 kilometer.
Oh, you're there,
So
so
yeah. And then that route that I did was so hilly, whereas the route that I'm doing for the half marathon is basically all flat. So I feel like it's in the bag.
100%, 100%. Me and one of my mates, Amelia, we ran a marathon, the Dublin Marathon in 2018. And I was reading in a book, it's The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. And there's a chapter in there called From 5K to 50K in 6 weeks or something like that. But essentially the style of training they were recommending, he never ran any more than 5 kilometers preparing for a 50K race. But a lot of the work that they were doing, as you were saying, it was a lot of like hill work. And the idea being that if you can make your training harder than the race itself, the race is actually going to be so much easier. So what I did was there's like a kilometer route there by the house where it's just like we call it Church Hill. And it's just like this incline, incline, incline for like 400 meters. But people were always talking in Dublin about, oh, wait until you get to the hill at mile 20. You know, it killed so many people. But the training that we'd been doing up until that point, it was actually way, way harder. So the hill itself, it was nothing new. So I think you took the right approach there, making your
Yeah,
training harder than the actual route itself.
yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, great book as well from Tim Ferriss, The 4 Hour Work Week. Do you have like a goal time you'd like to get the half marathon in, or is it just more so, look, this is a goal I'd like to hit, I'd like to tick it off and complete it and just try my best?
I have said sub 2 hour, so I'm thinking around 1 hour 55, maybe. Maybe,
Brilliant.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome stuff.
Um,
Yeah.
but that's awesome with the marathon. Have you done many marathons and half
No, I
marathons?
just did it one. I just did one marathon and one half. And what spurred from it was, I'm sure you know David Goggins.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Incredible.
So when he like initially just came to the scene, it was around 2018, and that was when I first heard him on the Joe Rogan show. And honestly, just after hearing that, I was like, oh my God, this guy is absolutely crazy. I got to do something that pushes me. So in my mind, I was like, okay, what's the hardest possible thing I can think of doing? And I just had a marathon. So I just there and then, in the inspiration, it only lasts for a while. And if you are someone listening and you are inspired or you're motivated to do something, take action now and do not freaking wait a week or 2 weeks because you'll be feeling much, much different. Something could pop up, you'll be in a different frame of mind. So I just booked the Dublin Marathon. And then you know yourself, once you book the race, you'll find a way to train for it and you'll find a way to do it because you know you're freaking doing it. And that was kind of the way that I did it as well. Just to put myself out of the comfort zone.
Yeah, no, I think that's a massive like thing for anyone actually listening to this is like if you think about when you book a holiday, like you're so much more motivated to reach that goal. And the same with like a marathon or a race or something like that. You're then more likely to show up each day to hit those sessions, to hit those things, to kind of get you to where you want to be for that specific thing.
Absolutely, yeah. I feel in my own training at the moment. I always recommend our members to like set some physique goals and performance goals. So like performance goal, like yourself, run a half marathon, run a 5K, run a 10K, hit 100 kilos on the bench or hip thrust or whatever it might be. But then a physique goal as well, like get to a goal weight, get to a goal body fat percentage. And I just feel for myself at the moment, my performance goal, I'm carrying a slight injury. So I really want to get back to sprinting, not running, but actually full throttle sprinting this year. haven't been able to do it the past while. And then physique wise, I'm kind of like, do I cut? Do I bulk? So I think I might just need to like book a photo shoot. I don't know if you ever get this, just to give me something to train for more than anything else. So I've like a goal with a deadline.
Yeah, no, 100%, definitely.
And so with the training that you do with your clients in Amelia, is this like a combination of free weights? Do you use barbells? Is it a bit of both? Do you implement cardio as well? I'm curious how you work that in general.
Yeah, so with my clients, to be fair, I'd say most of them, I mean, there are a few gym goers in there, but a lot of them are home workouts as well.
Sure.
Which I do opt for them always to try and purchase some dumbbells or some sort of weight to kind of use, because that's going to help them on their journey. But yeah, so we would probably do, dependent on the individual and dependent on their schedule, because how I work with my clients is it's a personalized plan. So their workouts that they get, they're made for them, and it's not like a generic plan that you get one size fits all.
Cookie cutter, yeah.
So it could be 3 workouts a week, 4. Sometimes we may implement some running in there if they want to build up on their running. Cardio wise, wouldn't be my first and foremost to put in their plan, but it's something we may implement later on down the line if I don't want to lower their calories any lower. And then the other thing we focus on is just their step count. Again, that's very dependent on the individual. If they're currently hitting like 2,000, I'm not going to try and make them hit 10,000 in their first week, because that ain't going to happen. So again, very dependent on the individual. But yeah, that's kind of how I work with training with them. So yeah.
100%. Yeah, no, absolutely. And obviously, Amelia, with summer coming up now as well, a slight change in the weather also. Let's just say there's somebody here listening and would say, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being, I don't know, ready to hop on stage in a photo shoot or a bodybuilding show, and there's someone listening and they're at maybe a 5 in terms of like just their physique and their body fat, and they'd like to go from a 5 to an 8. I don't want to step up on stage. I don't want to get absolutely shredded. I don't want to feel miserable, but I would like to get pretty lean, or just feel confident with my top off, or feel confident at the beach there. What are some tips that you would give to him or to her to like just go from, let's say, a 5 to an 8 inside the next 3 months, we'll just say?
I like this question. And I think it would just be definitely dependent on where the individual is at, but definitely try and hit maybe 3 to 4 gym sessions a week. And with those gym sessions, make sure you're progressively overloading each week on your sessions, following a structured program where you're not changing the workouts every single week. You want to stick with something. And then make sure you're progressing on those exercises. And then with that as well, especially if you're doing big compound movements like your squats, your deadlifts, your bench press, pull-ups, things like that, is really engaging that core. So you're allowing that core muscles to kind of be working and to work. Once that's kind of the training side of things, a high protein diet, 100% through and through. Drinking water, step count, again, I would probably opt for, if you are trying to go from a 5 to an 8, you're probably going to want to be hitting 10,000 to 12,000 steps a day.
For sure.
And then dependent on the individual, maybe adding a little bit of cardio in there, but build up on that.
Yeah, I think you kind of touched on the main points there. Like, it all comes down to lifestyle and schedule there too. But I think if you look at your big rocks, as you were saying, like just strength training 3 or 4 times a week, training each body part twice a week, a high protein diet, and just being more conscious, as you were saying, of your steps. Like, the great thing about walking, Amelia, as you know, is after a run, to be fair, like you do that 18.5 kilometer run, you would be starving afterwards. And you can often like eat back those extra calories and some more. Whereas after a walk, if you go for like, I know it's not as taxing or it's not as long and it's a different form of cardio, but after a walk, you wouldn't be nearly as hungry. So it's like, it's just a nice and simple way to increase your activity without necessarily increasing your appetite so much.
Mhm.
And obviously, as you said, just sustainability there as well. Amelia, we'll go on to some rapid fire, and then we can
Yeah.
wrap it up then. So, um, first question is, what is one new habit you've implemented since last year?
Running is my habit. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Once a
I'm
week.
curious, how did you like did you start from zero and go to 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, or how did you build it up?
Yeah, I was awful. So I couldn't even run 1 kilometer around my block a year ago. I just could not. Just over a year ago, I just couldn't do it. And then I did have a period where I stopped for a while, and then I was like, no, I'm going to do it. So I continued and then gave myself that habit of I'm going to do at least one run a week, whether that's just running 5 kilometers or running on the treadmill if it's absolutely horrendous outside. Like that is my thing because it's something that I really want to get better at. And I think not that it's a habit that anyone else has to do, but that was a habit for me that I wanted to implement and get better at. So if I didn't implement that, I wouldn't have got better at it.
Unreal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Awesome stuff. When you hear the word successful, Amelia, who is the first person who comes to mind?
Um, I think, oh, that's such a hard question. Successful. I think my I'd say as a group, I'd say my family. My family are very driven, and my mom and my brothers and my stepdad, they're all very driven, and um, they're very and they aspire me. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, your family. Keep it close to home. So your breakfast menu? What is your ultimate breakfast of choice?
I love. It used to be protein porridge, however, not anymore. I have um it would be a bagel, but like one half of the bagel would be like a savory, and that would be like turkey bacon and maybe an egg on the top, and then the other half, which I'd have a break before, a little 2 minutes before I'd have it, and then the other one would be lotus biscoff on the other bagel. Um,
Oh, amazing.
yeah, I've got the biggest sweet tooth ever, so I have to always finish on something sweet.
Awesome. I love it. Okay. Three more. If you could go back to when you first started, Amelia, what's one piece of advice you'd give to your younger self?
um, Stay consistent and be patient.
Stay consistent and be patient. Awesome. What is one question, Amelia, you wish that people asked you more of?
Um, um, how long will it take me to achieve my goal? I think the reason why I say that is because I think a lot of people go into it thinking, oh, it's going to take me like 2 or 3 weeks to drop fat, and I think people need to know going into something that it's going to take longer than 2 to 3 weeks if you want it to be sustainable. And I think people need to know that because it's a journey. It's not a quick fix. Yeah.
Gotcha. Manage those expectations. Awesome. And last question, Amelia, what do you feel is the most underrated gym exercise out there that most people don't do enough of?
To build some incredible glutes, a weighted step up is incredible, especially if you lean forwards on it. Very underrated. Love a
Oh,
weighted step up.
brilliant. Is that a high box or a medium box step up?
um, Medium box. Yeah, medium
Yeah.
box. Yeah.
Yeah, they
What
are
would yours
they are
be?
in the gym. I would actually say I rarely see anyone do it, and I think they're unbelievable for hip mobility, for ankle mobility, and you're training in plane of motion that most people don't train in. So, do you know Cossack squats? Have you ever done goblet Cossack squats?
Uh,
It's essentially where so you know a goblet squat where you're holding the dumbbell at your chest and you're just doing a
Yeah.
squat where you're squatting down. A goblet Cossack squat is where your legs are pointed out like wider than you'd have a
Yeah.
sumo deadlift. Okay, that wide and even a bit more. And you shift your hips to the left hand side and simultaneously turn. We'll say you're shifting your hips to the left hand side and simultaneously you're pointing your right toe in the opposite direction. So it's kind of like this side to side, similar to a lateral or a side lunge, but you're really hitting the hips, you're hitting your groin, your adductors, and your ankle mobility. It's a big one for that as well. So that's been one that I've been doing for my rehab, and I just feel so good after them. And oh my God, the DOMs after them are freaking insane. You'll have to try them out.
Yeah, I love that. I'll do it after my half marathon.
Yeah, definitely not the day before. Amelia, just before we go, what is there something you are excited about outside of the half marathon? Is there anything else you're currently working towards or looking forward to?
I am going to Bali to go and work in Bali. Not to work out there, but to do my online coaching from Bali for a month in April. And I'm so excited. I love the sunshine. So yeah, I just feel like I'm just gonna be so much more productive. And yeah, it's just
Amazing,
yeah.
amazing. It's definitely on the to-do list, Bali. That'll be awesome. That'll be awesome. Amelia, for any for listeners out there who want to learn more about you and what you offer, where is the best place to send them?
So Instagram, my handle is Amelia Layng, so AmeliaLayng. That's the same for my TikTok as well, and Facebook. But yeah, Instagram's probably the best one to find me on.
Perfect. I will, Amelia, I'll post a link to your IG in the show notes. And thanks so much for hopping on. Really enjoyed
No,
the
thank you
podcast,
so
really
much for
enjoyed
having
our
me.
talk. And absolutely best of luck as well with the half marathon. I assume you're going to do a big carb load today and or tomorrow to get yourself fueled and
Almond
ready to go.
croissant is at the ready.
Almond crossing at the finish line as well. Amelia, thanks so much. This has been awesome. Thanks again.
No, thank you for having me.